somebody, I say you don't cross my mind.
Art is hard. Yes, I said it. Even though art is beautiful, even though the pain is worth it, it can't change the truth. Art is hard, but being an artist is hard. Everyone that ever in their life sat in front of a blank canvas knows that. It's addicting, so thrilling, and yet so scary at the same time. To expose yourself and your feelings and your skills to the world needs a lot of bravery, and is sometimes terrifying enough to not touch the pen in weeks. We call it art block. This fear we face when not creating art becomes easier than creating art. When we seem not to have any ideas and stare at this blank page unable to fill it. It happens to everyone once in a while, myself obviously included. Whenever I neglected my art, it became harder and harder to start again with every day passing. The thought made my heart miss a beat and kept my hands sweaty. I was afraid, I realized. Afraid of the very thing that made me always happy, that made me lose sleep as a kid because drawing was more important than rest. That same thing that made me push through hard times in my teenage years because at least I got my art. The very act of creating was now terrifying me. I felt a lot of this art block in my teenage years, but all this time I never asked myself, what is in my or your way of just creating again? While art block can have many faces, for me it is always the same: perfectionism. Which is funny, because I always thought my perfectionism was a good thing. And of course, some aspects can seem to be very desirable and even necessary for the growing artist. Being detail-oriented and wanting to improve after every project is something very noble. But for me, it never ends here. For me, perfectionism feels paralyzing. Because it's actually not the need to make everything perfect, but the fear of not making everything perfect. It's the fear of judgment and shame that's going to follow your defeat. It means you're embarrassing yourself in front of the whole world who saw you trying and failing and will now judge and outcast you. It makes you feel inadequate, uncomfortable, and incapable. So what's the solution? Not creating at all? If you're not doing anything, you're not doing anything wrong, right? It's what we all do, subconsciously. But rather than thinking about everything that could go wrong, we should see all the things that could go right. Because by not even trying, we are tying ourselves to the version we are right now. Unable to improve or evolve or progress. I know, it sounds dramatic, but if you think about it, you can feel the truth of this. Your perfectionism is not helping you. It does the very opposite. It does not act in your best interest. While you want to enjoy your art and improve and progress, all it wants to do is to hide you away and prevent that other people see how imperfect you are. It's not protecting you. It's protecting a lie. A lie you could never do justice to. But what are we afraid of? That people realize that you are also human? That even though you make great things, you're also capable of failing miserably, like everybody else? Isn't that very sad? Literally every second that we breathe is a gift. Every minute that we live is a minute closer to death. It all could end any time. And to waste your precious time in fear of people not liking you or approving to the things you did or said or wanted to be, it's really the worst way of spending your limited time here, when you could just dance and laugh and paint and live freely. Because the truth is, you're not defined by what you can accomplish or produce. I know this society is really hammering these lies into your head, but your work is not your worth. If you fail this one time, this does not make you a bad person. It makes you a person. And you as a person, are enough no matter what. And your worth is not tied to your accomplishments. Even if capitalism sells the idea that if you buy this, have that, do this, wear that, you might be just as successful, just as beautiful, just as happy as them, I want you to see through that lies. Because these false beliefs, they harm you. not only in your art, but also in every other area of your life. They benefit from your feeling of insufficiency. So let's stop this. I'm not willing to pay into the lie of perfection on the internet. Yes, I don't love every single painting I make, particularly this one, but I won't let it stop me from trying and sharing my struggles. Because we need more people that are open to share their flaws and imperfections. We need more people who try. Because done is better than perfect. Because quantity leads to quality. Because imperfections are often interesting and beautiful and make us relatable and real. So I decided that I can't waste my life waiting for everything to be right and myself to be ready or perfect, because I'm never gonna be. It is impossible to achieve for me and you. Maybe you will become really good, but not perfect, because perfect is the lie you tell yourself to feel bad about good work. So how can we overcome perfectionism? You have to accept that everything said previously in this video is true. That perfectionism is harming you and not worth your time. Accept that society lied to you and the perfection you were striving for really only ever existed in your fantasy. I really want you to confront your deepest fears and reaffirm that failing is a part of life and not the ultimate reason to never try again. Understand that your worth is independent of the work you create. Believe that nothing bad is going to happen to you if you failed today. Honestly, I think this painting was some kind of a failure. It does not look like the soft and dramatic sunset I wanted to paint, but a scene from our favorite post-apocalyptic fantasy action story. But you know what? I loved painting it. I actually did. And I won't let my perfectionism take this joy away from me just because it does not look like I wanted it to look. Not every painting I'm going to start will end in a masterpiece, and that's okay. Some of them are just practice, for me to learn and progress. Lesson learned, time to move on and try again. As an artist, I tend to overwork my projects. This goes especially into my video productions. I want everything to be perfect and will tweak and alter things eternally, knowing that I'm wasting my time and not going to achieve the non-existing perfection anyway. And the only thing that helped me and really prevented me from going insane is defining my new perfect. Because yes, it's very unrealistic to think that I can make something 100% great. When I tried to achieve perfection, I never posted videos on a regular basis. But 80%, that's possible, that's enjoyable for me and for my viewers. Find your own personal sweet spot that makes starting and ending your projects easier. If you realize for yourself that everyone you admire, every role model you have and ever wanted to be, once started where you are standing right now, a lot of things change. Even if we tend to forget it, everyone was a beginner once. You might not have seen their struggles. Nobody likes to share their bad times on social media, where you are very vulnerable anyway. But they struggled. I guarantee you they made bad things until they practiced and learned and researched enough to start making things that were better, good, and finally stunning. But to learn that, you need to try it. Because the only thing that really helps to overcome your perfectionism is starting and practicing. Everyone has to start at the bottom. How good you become is only a question of how much you're willing to invest. So I want you to try and try and try again and never give up. And if you're too afraid to fail with everyone watching, then stay private. Practice in silence. You don't have to fail publicly. It's okay if you don't have to show everyone that very vulnerable moment. Keep it to yourself. In art school, I would share the pieces I was most proud of and kept the failures to myself. Because this was something between me and my art, and not for anyone else to judge. This way, I was still able to experiment and try new things, because this failure was only for my eyes to see. But it's important that you keep going even if you will fail sometimes, because failure is part of the process. Last time I read a quote saying, "Embarrassment is the cost of entry." If you aren't willing to look like a foolish beginner, you will never become a grateful master. Understand that failing does not make you a bad artist. It's just the opposite. Let yourself be bad at something and learn from every mistake you make. That's how you progress. Give your best and get better 1% per day. No matter what your brain tells you, you're not making everything wrong. That's actually impossible. Don't listen to it. Just be patient with your art and don't rush the process, because good things take time. So take your time, try again, and see what happens. And with these wise words, I thank you for making it this far into the video. If you liked it, please consider sharing it with someone who needs to hear this. Save it for later or just give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. Don't miss my next video by subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching and listening, and until next time, keep drawing.